Welcome to episode 3. So now last time, Austria-Hungary became a cleavish territory, but the actual empire stayed intact. In this one, things will happen. Yugoslavia was pretty much completely taken over in the previous episode, and this time they will completely take it over. First, an Ultramontane rebels sent planes to invade more of Bosnia and Herzegovina, and the rebels there sent planes to invade Croatia. Already some of Croatia was invaded, it was cleavish territory, but this time they're going to invade all of it. No. Now all of Croatia, except for this tiny strip, is in now cleavish territory until that strip gets taken over by the cleavish empire. After all this happened, but the rebels never completely invaded Bosnia and Herzegovina yet. So then they invaded Bosnia and Herzegovina, and even parts of Montenegro. I said I would never invade Kosovo, but now I'm going to have to, said the current top lad of Cleva. So now that Montenegro is now completely taken over by the Cleavish Empire, they need to take over a little more in order for them to completely have taken over former Yugoslavia. They're taking over even more of Croatia, which I forgot to mention that they didn't take over, and then took over Albania, which even though it was not Yugoslav, it at least was really close to a couple of Yugoslav republics. They now completely invaded Kosovo really quickly this time. They're gonna take over even more places. And now that they took over, now pretty much the entire Balkan Peninsula is taken over at this point. Besides Greece, of course. Even though they already took over a ton of Greece. They're gonna take over even more of it later. They then took over a bunch of Greek places, and then they took over some Turkish place. They took over quite a bit of Turkey, and they took over a bit of over here. And the ULTAUSTRIA Empire, they moved the capital over to Iceland. So in order to end this imperial threat, they went in on an island. They went on a sort of island hopping campaign. But when they reached Denmark, they realized that most of their territory had been lost to the Austrians, the Austro people. So what they came up with this idea to just retake it. All the French land that actually was not owned by anyone until this, unless you count France as an empire, even though it's a republic. Oh yeah. And now we have all of this as cleavish empire territory. And now I'm going to actually have to move this, because now this is no longer ULTAUSTRIA territory. Now that most of it's called the Yugoslav Session Cleavish Empire and ACVC allies. Now that they took all of Yugoslavia and a whole bunch more from ULTAUSTRIA, ULTAUSTRIA was about to fall. But then ULTAUSTRIA tried to gain more land when they when they completely undo that. When they actually tried to invade more of Iceland, even though Iceland did not have an army, so military. I think they don't even have a military, so they can easily invade Iceland. So they invaded Iceland. Okay, I'm just gonna do all this. Now that they took over all of Iceland, this made the cleavish empire desperate. So they quickly sent a bunch of rebels into Iceland, and then created the Icean Session was created. The Icelandic Session was created, and then the empire was then controlled Iceland, and then the ULTAUSTRIA Empire had to move to France, but then Cleva took that over, which it then became territory of the Yugoslav Session. And then they even took more of Ukraine, parts of Belarus, parts of even up to Finland, of course, actually. This was a huge empire. And then they even took Ireland and the UK. This now meant that and then they took more of Spain, and then Portugal, of course, and then they took even more of Greece, and then they took over even pretty much all of Ukraine, parts of Samusia as well, and then the fall of the Samusia Republic was caused because of this. After all this imperialism, after all this imperialism ended, then they took France, and then pretty much the ULTAUSTRIA Empire only had Optromachta, and had pretty much only had one remaining colony. Which Optromachta had only two remaining colonies. The Optromachta and this nothingness. But then, Cleva responded to the Empire permanently by taking over all of the remaining territory of Iceland. This resulted in not so good things. Okay, ya.
Mañana sí te puedo dejar más tarde. Pasa que estoy muy cansada.
5.
5. Sí.
Okay. So, then, we finished off by invading Portugal and by invading Optromachta. Control of Optromachta, and then the imperialism ended, and the ULTAUSTRIA Empire was abolished. Wait, I have to move all this over. Now, the Samosia Republic just then Samosia. Let's just split up. And then Samosia Republic was abolished. And then then Mongolia was no longer Russian territory. I mean, and this is the new world.